Ghana's international bonds are no more lucrative as the country faces challenges with liquidity and refinancing its debt. The view of senior financial analysts who spoke to Joy Business on the back of the downgrade of the country's credit ratings by ratings agency Moody's. The downgrade to CA1 from B3, which means the country's international bonds are very risky, is worse than the B- rating by another ratings agency, Fitch. The financial analysts want immediate action by government to address the situation. Let's first hear from Joe Jackson, who is Executive Director of Dalex Finance.
If you're B- with negative, it means you are B- and we are likely to downgrade you. So in terms of the real impact, I think that has happened already. The issue really is this: we should stop shooting the messenger and listen to the message. And the message is loud and clear. The international committee, the international public, those who buy, investor community, and the independent communities are not happy with how we are, the state of our public purse at the moment. They see a lot of borrowing. They see essentially we don't have enough revenue and we are spending too much. Let's fix it. Let's fix it. Lambasting the messenger doesn't solve the problem. Fixing your problems is what is important. And unfortunately, African countries don't have a good history of fixing their problems. And that's why there's even all this discussion about going to the IMF and the conditionalities involved. If we are sure that our economy is strong, let's fix it. This is not the time for partisan blame game, the blame game, who is mismanaging the economy. The truth of the matter is that our economy is in bad shape. We are broke. And the rating agencies have recognized that. Let's fix it.
Well, Dr. Williams Pepa is Chief Finance Officer of the Valley View University and says the country's situation is dire, but wants more efforts by government to bring hope to the economy.
The three agencies on Ghana government assessment, none of them talked about reduction in expenditure. All of them focus on revenue generation. Because they know that as a country and our pattern, we may say we will reduce our expenditure, but I mean, where we have come from, we know that this is not very realistic. So if the analysts are predicting, they will be focusing on which angle is permissible and can be done. So that angle is on the revenue generation. And the path is very clear. Government is making a lot of effort and noise also on the e-levy. We've heard of the changes that they are expected to bring, maybe very soon. So these are the signs. So if government makes the argument, it doesn't mean that Moody's must just pick what government is saying and go by it. So it's in the hands of government to show by works and not by rhetoric or by just saying that we are going to reduce our expenditure by 20%. Government must make sure that they listen to what these agencies are saying, and it gives government to focus on what strategies can we put in place to be able to address the challenges that they have mentioned. And it's when you read the report, it's very clear. They talked about inflexibility in our revenue patterns. So government must make sure that we increase our revenue.
And so Moody said the weak revenue generation constrains government's budget flexibility. Like you had Doc Williams talk about, and tight funding conditions on the international markets. Well, the Finance Ministry has formally appealed against the downgrade of the country's credit ratings by Moody's. The ministry is questioning the approach used by the ratings agency and some inconsistencies in the assessment. George Affe has that part of the story.
The Finance Ministry in the statement noted that the appeal was influenced by some key material information that was missing out in Moody's assessment, such as the 2022 budget expenditure controls. The ministry was also worried about the appointment of a new credit analyst just 4 weeks to this major announcement, who didn't have enough time to assess measures taken by Ghana and hadn't visited the country as part of those basic requirements. Government also noted that it is pressing ahead with this appeal after an earlier one was rejected by Moody's despite some serious inconsistencies in its analysis and action on downgrade of Ghana's creditworthiness. On Standard & Poor's decision to maintain Ghana's ratings at B negative with a stable outlook, the Ministry of Finance noted that Ghana could have had its rate upgraded as the agency cites delays in passing the e-levy as one of the reasons for not upgrading Ghana's credit ratings. For some, the decision to appeal the ratings by Ghana can be described as interesting because government actually pays these agencies to carry out these reviews, which comes at a huge cost to the country. This is because any country that borrows from the international market is required to have at least 2 credit rating agencies. However, in Ghana's situation, it has 3 credit rating agencies.
And President Akufo-Addo is also taking on Moody's for the downgrade. He has urged African leaders to guard against the continuing consequential power of rating agencies on African economies. He says the ratings have affected the cost of borrowing and access to the international capital market. The president was speaking at the African Union meeting in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
We need to guard against the continuing consequential stranglehold of the rating agencies, which has affected the cost and access to capital markets for African countries and has, during this COVID period, resulted in the downgrading of many African countries, exacerbating even more their funding challenges. Furthermore, it is of the utmost importance that the G20 leaders stick to their commitment to reallocate to Africa SDR 100 billion agreed to at the Paris Summit in May 2021. These issues have also been captured in the draft Assembly decision, which Your Excellencies will be considering and hopefully adopt. Chairperson, we need to work collectively as the African Union to reform the global financial architecture, even as we build and strengthen our financial institutions.
So, right posture by the president, does it work that way to just ignore the likes of Moody's? Well, Executive Director of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, has a response.
We set up our own agencies, rating agencies, and these agencies give us favorable ratings.
All right.
Will those ratings be believed by the same people we are courting? That is the problem. And for so long as we are courting independent investors from a certain community, then we have to use a rating agency that they trust, not the rating agency that is favorable to us. So there is an inherent contradiction between saying that I want an agency to be favorable to me in its rating, and to say that I want people to use that agency's ratings.
All right, let's turn to other issues relating to the economy. Ghana is set to get about $4 billion from the World Bank to support the economy and the budget from next year. The funds will be spread over 5 years and could see about $700 million disbursed every year, but tied to key reforms. Pierre Laporte is World Bank Country Director.
We are in discussion with the Minister of Finance, and the door is open. We have on the table budget support ready for Ghana, but as you know, budget support like IMF programs are based on setting strong reforms. So we are in discussion now with the government to what we hope can be a reasonably strong enough reform package that I can take to my board sometime at the end of this year or early next year. We are keen, we want to. We are in discussion with the government for that.
And that is a financial program for Ghana, right? Coming from
the World Bank. Yeah, it will be a budget support from the World Bank, besides the projects that we do. This will be basically cash support to the budget. Okay, but it doesn't come free. It comes with satisfying certain fundamental reforms that will have positive impact on the budget and on other sectors of the economy, like energy.
How much are we looking at here from the bank?
It can be anywhere $200-300 million we can talk about. Yeah.
What total funding are we looking at under this country partnership program?
It's we're looking at $700 to $800 million every year for Ghana in the next 5-6 years. Yeah, let's say about over 6 years, about over $3.5 to $4 billion.
You're watching Business Live. We have some more news for you at the other side of this break. Please stay tuned. Welcome back to Business Live. Now, Group President for CAGL, a licensed radioactive transporting company, Isaac Amaku-Mensah, has called on companies that transport radioactive and explosives to consider giving training to their various stakeholders and employees responsible for carrying out such activity. This follows the recent explosion at Apiate, which claimed several lives. Mr. Amaku-Mensah spoke to Joy Business after a day's training for over 50 frontline security agencies in the radioactive space in the Western region. Correspondent in Athalia Kwanzaa has the rest of the story.
Isaac Amaku-Mensah said the explosion at Apiate 2 weeks ago has become a wake-up call for the company to make sure that everyone along within their chain of work gets to know exactly what they are working with to handle them appropriately. Describing the explosion as a tragic accident, he said, radioactive source transporting companies must take a cue and start thinking of the impact that inadequate training and lack of knowledge by the workers can possibly bring. Mr. Isaac Amaku-Mensah said the explosion at Apiate should be a call for all, including the CAGL, to intensify regulation and knowledge base on radioactive to enhance safety.
This training is not meant for protection of yourself alone. It's meant for you to protect yourself, your neighbors, and the environment as a whole. Because you saw water being tested because of the possibility of radioactive leakage, right? So everything is not just about me or you. It's about the whole community in which we live. A lot of people go out, and if it had been the radioactive incident that happened at Apiate, 100 years from now or 200 years from now would have still been living with the repercussions of that incident. So for me, this training has come in at a very timely time, that in future, when you are escorting or you are doing the documentation or you have to do an approval, you know exactly what to look out for before you do the approval. You know exactly what to look out for before you sit in that escort truck. You know exactly what to look out for before BNI, you tell them that, look, you can move this or you can't move that.
A senior resource scientist at the Radiation Protection Institute, Dr. Francis Otu, on his part said, though there are no ready statistics to back the impact of radioactive sources in the country, that of the lack of knowledge can go a long way to affect generations unborn. Hence commended CAGL Group and asked other companies to emulate them.
And I think this is what the Institute is mandated to do, to make sure that it's training people that are occupationally exposed to radiation sources. And then what they have done is, one of them, we're expecting that all the companies which they are service involved with radiation exposure to be able to know the importance of training their workers.
All right, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Kobi Mensah, has suggested the formulation of some regulations for businesses operating online and using digital channels. According to Dr. Mensah, the operations of online businesses have become critical in recent times due to the outbreak of COVID-19, which brought restrictions to physical meetings. He was speaking to Joy Business at the Maiden BrandCon Africa 2022, organized by the Business and Financial Times.
The conference was focused on conversations on brands, branding and marketing. BrandCon Africa seeks to become the home of everything brands, marketing, communication and public relations. As the guest speaker, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Kobi Mensah, admitted that many businesses have moved online to overcome the challenges of COVID-19. He believes that a good regulation will boost confidence in online services.
We've got to invest in systems that could be robust enough to prevent people's cards being stolen, the online phishing. And then, of course, you've got to make sure that people are buying things that are wholesome. That is when they actually receive exactly what they expected. But that actually calls for regulations. It means that we need strong regulatory system to police the online, market. Currently, I don't think that, we have a very strong regulatory system. I mean, we have the data protection, agency that actually looks at how people's data are being used, etc. But we haven't really had that conversation about who governs the online market.
Chief Executive for the Business and Financial Times, Godwin Akwe, described the conference as a celebration for outstanding brands in the midst of COVID-19.
Under the banner of marketing, communication, brands, corporate affairs, or public relations departments, these in-house or external bodies have served as the focal point of communicating and promoting their brands in innovative ways. The result of their work is evident as state institutions, finance houses, mining firms, telcos, fintechs, agric, and the educational institutions and several economic actors have displayed remarkable resilience and growth.
Meanwhile, small and medium enterprises have been advised to maintain trust in their service delivery.
Now, Chief Executive of Geodrill Ghana Limited, a geodetic firm, Dave Harper, has challenged businesses to support initiatives aimed at transforming plastic waste into useful resources. According to him, the plastic waste situation in the country is troubling, considering its impact on key sectors of the economy, including fishing. Dave Harper was speaking to Joy Business after a ceremony to commission the Macintosh Bar Shelter project. The initiative, which aims at making Ghana a safe environment without excess plastic waste, is being supported by Geodrill as part of its corporate social responsibility. Chief Executive of Geodrill, Dave Harper, believes that many other businesses can support to make the dream a reality.
He's very well intentioned, and I would encourage businesses to get behind Macufi and Macintosh so that we can put Ghana on the map, and be the best in terms of, how we make this plastic problem more sustainable.
Do you have any recommendation for government in dealing with the plastic waste now?
Oh, well, I think collection points is probably a good place to start. And if we collect the plastic, by simply putting collection points, making the job of collecting the plastic around, that would be a good start.
President of Academic City, Professor Fred Bagonluri, also supports the idea that plastic waste can be transformed into useful resources.
Well, we all wake up to the plastics every day, and as an academic and a researcher, the constant question is not only how do we get rid of it, but how do we translate that into something that is useful for the environment. And I alluded to it, that if we can monetize it, then perhaps like scrap metal, people will naturally go around trying to pick it up. So, I've explored ideas of combining plastic with other things like coconut husks and trying to create insulation material from it, noise-proof materials from it, and potentially exploring using it to actually make roads.
Chief Executive for Macintosh Africa, Makafi Awuku, has been sharing his thoughts on the project so far.
That was more than 12 months ago. We had a partner who was innovating the wood-like materials from waste. So we engaged with them about making the material available for us to build the bus stop. It took about 5 months for us to actually get our hands on the material, which tells you that it's important for us all to help innovators and young people to build capacity, because it's not enough for us to just create the innovations.
The occasion was used to inspect the shelter concept at the Jolu Junction in the Ayawaso West municipality of the Greater Accra region. And that was our trip around the world for the latest in international business news. Up next, your money tips on Money Lab.
Good day to you and welcome to the Money Lab. What is a brokerage account? A brokerage account is an account opened by an investor with a brokerage firm or company. The account, when opened, would hold all securities owned or held by the investor and through which all transactions, such as cash deposits and withdrawals, trades and transfers, will be effected.
And that's our program tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. A quick look at what's trending on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. The story on Moody's, as we've been reporting, our international bonds junkie. Let's work hard to get out of this. According to financial analysts, you can read more about that. Also, government did the right thing by challenging Fitch Moody's downgrade ratings, a perspective from another economist. So it gets interesting. myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching. We're back same time tomorrow.